a lot of adults, there is a large proportion, a percentage of us that do just think we are set and we are stuck. You speak about other people like, don't worry about Darren, he's always been like that. He's always been a bit grumpy, a bit moody and that. Sorry, Daz. But the reality is, everyone's like, yeah, of course we do. And they're like, he's just like that. Yeah. You don't have to be, mate. You actually don't. Like, if you're not happy with how you are and how you operate and how you feel about certain things, you have the power and the ability to change it. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Hello, welcome back to AYP Spike. I'm Adam, and I'm joined today by AYP Coaching
Yes, give me the consultant title. I've been wanting to talk about this for ages.
I don't choose the titles.
The boss emailed the other day. He emailed me yesterday, and he said consultant.
Ooh. I didn't know that. Okay,
I will show you. The proof is in the pudding. I'll show you.
Round of applause for Andy's consultant title.
My promotion. Thank you very much. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to do it. That CV's getting updated. Consultant's going on it. It does feel a bit, I feel a bit, using it loose and fast, really. I don't know what else to say, really. I'm a consultant. There you go.
That's all you need to say. Yes, welcome back to AYP Spike, Bite-Sized Brain Science. We're two AYP consultants now, isn't that exciting? Ooh.
That's big, man.
Ooh. But yes, thank you. It's another Friday. We're back at it again. And I just want a quick note for the audience listening. I've realised that this is, making a visual podcast as well as an audio podcast. It's going to be really hard to get a different outfit this week. And I've come in basically the exact same outfit I was as I was in last week.
Still strong, man. You're still rocking it, man. The bootcut jeans, they're flying.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But I just realised that the thing is now, the pressure to think of a different outfit, and I left the house late.
It's like you're in college again.
The first week you can't wear the same thing twice, but then every Tuesday you end up wearing the same t-shirt and jeans, and it's like, it looked like I only ever wear one thing. And the thing is, for the listeners, I just kind of have a weekly cycle of clothes. I just tend to wear the same thing on the same day because of when it comes out of the watch.
Come on now, we're all grown-ups and maybe some students out there listening. For those that care about fashion, I respect it.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about fashion here. I'm just talking about trying to look a little bit different. I'm wearing the same hat as last week because I swim on a Friday morning. Okay,
who needs more than one?
And after I swim, I don't have time to do my hair before I come to the office to record this. So I've put a hat on so that no one has to experience the hair because it looks like. I'll show you, dear listeners. I'll show you the hair. It looks like this when I haven't done it.
Do you know what? That was much better than I thought it would be.
Oh, thank you so much.
Genuine,
I don't think I'm going to agree when I watch this back. So the hat stays on.
We have to hold him accountable. We can't cut that out. I mean, not to bang on
I choose what gets cut.
Yeah, you do actually. Yeah, that's not fair actually. It sounds awfully like a dictatorship.
It's going to sort of start a union.
Yeah, but for those of the people that are watching this, you can see I am the last person that is allowed to talk about fashion.
I'm glad you said it.
It's I'm not sure what I was thinking.
I'm just saying, is Earth, Wind and Fire playing after this, and can I come?
we're at 4. It is proper, man. It's.
He's off to Butlins to boogie. That's what I'm saying.
Did Butlins a few weeks ago.
Oh, sensational!
Unbelievable! Can't even tell you. But it was really good. But yeah, this shirt is proper. I wore this to uni actually. We had a.
Into your lectures.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
8 a.m. on a Monday morning.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get ready.
In a room full of 45 football development and sport and exercise psychologist lads. It was,
statement.
I just thought I would take the brunt of the joke so I could alleviate the pressure on my fellow course mates. And I just thought,
what a hero.
Yeah.
It's sacrificial. He's a martyr.
I am. But yeah, it's an absolute outrageous shirt to wear, to be honest.
It is. I think outrageous is the only descriptor, but it's a good.
It looks a bit like, and I know I'm safe in saying this, my partner's nan's house. It's like what she's lined her walls with.
The whole building.
It does. I can't even tell you. But George Joplin, all can tell.
Yeah, honestly,
beautiful Nan and Sharon. But yeah, this is
it is absolutely
worth
bold move. Checking it out.
It is worth checking it out.
So come and just come to the YouTube just to look at that and subscribe and then leave. I'm to subscribe. It's always worth subscribing. So today, We realised this in a production meeting this week that we haven't talked about this thing yet, which is kind of crazy because it's normally one of the first things we talk about when we talk to people about
first thing in the program is it
literally because it's literally if there's two concepts to understand about your brain, it is change, and they understand that your brain changes and doesn't like change at the same time, and this idea that the brain changes bit and that we can choose what our brain does, and this idea of neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity. I'm going to do a little rant in a little bit about the word plasticity because it does not make me think of what it actually means. And
it's hard to say.
It is really hard to say.
I have to apologise because I butcher it every time in sessions.
Do you want to give it a
go? Just flashbacks from what I couldn't say. Physiologic. I can't even do it again. Neuroplasticity.
There you go. Look at that. He's a professional, ladies and gentlemen. He's a professional.
There you go. One take.
There you go. See, there was no edits in that. I might add a jump cut before that to make it look like there was a cut, but there wasn't.
He tried it 13 times and he still butchered it.
Time 4. Neuroplasticity is the idea that what you do with your brain, it gets better at doing, and the idea that your brain changes depending on what you do with it. Now, these behaviors can be conscious behaviors. So, for example, practicing and learning an instrument is a conscious behavior. When I say I play guitar, it is a loose definition of play. I can play 4 chords, but I have the ability to do it, and I can do it consistently if I want to.
3 chords in it?
It's so true, but it's worse than 5. So I can play 3 chords on guitar. When I first learned, I couldn't do that at all. And the reason that I can now play those 4 chords is because I practice those 4 chords. That is neuroplasticity. I chose consciously to get better at something by practicing it, and I got better at it, right? There's a crucial part of neuroplasticity that is also that your brain will change what you're doing with it. And obviously you're using your brain constantly. That's the point. And your brain's getting better at the things that you're not choosing to necessarily do. Okay? So things like worrying. If you worry a lot and don't manage those behaviors, talk to your friends, engage other people's prefrontal cortexes, engage your own prefrontal cortex involved in it, you are going to get better at worrying, which means you're, as we said last week, it's going to get easier to get trapped in that kind of worrying system, and harder then to rip yourself out of that worrying system, and also seek the help that you need out of the worrying system. So that is the basic concept that underpins a pretty fundamental amount of the brain science, so your brain your brain changes because of neuroplasticity, doesn't like change, and uses models and doesn't like change because it means it has to update its model, which means it has to use energy. That is kind of like, if we were teaching a brain science 101, that is kind of it, right? Those are the basics. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, which is why you're watching the show / listening to the show.
Yeah.
But those are the pretty fundamental parts of it. And I think that concept on its own is worth sitting with for a minute, because the idea that this is also very new. Even a few years ago in neuroscience, we thought that your brain, if everyone's heard of it, you develop your brain till you're 25 and then that's it. It's just sorted. We thought that was the case. We didn't know that your brain will constantly change throughout the rest of your life, even a few years ago.
Do you know how mad that is? I just find that absolutely
crazy. So we thought that, I'm now 25, my brain is set. Yeah. Andy's brain is, in that old view, still changing.
I've got a couple months left, mate. Oh yeah.
Off you go. You can change.
That's nice.
And then I'm set now. That's me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I can't change my brain. What? But that's what we used to think a few years ago. When I say a few years ago, like 20 years ago, but in scientific historical terms, recent. That's really recent,
And it's always funny, man. Whenever I'm explaining the idea of neuroplasticity to clients, and in our first session, the parents always turn up, which is wonderful and great to speak to them about this stuff as well. Because as we always say, this stuff is for everyone, not just the students we work with.
Well, exactly.
They just look, like when you say that everyone has the ability to change your brain, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you operate, and project yourself through life. I think it is a bit, I'm making a sweeping generalization here to some extent, but a lot of adults, there is a large proportion, a percentage of us that do just think we are set and we are stuck. You speak about other people like, don't worry about Darren, he's always been like that. He's always been a bit grumpy, a bit moody and that. Sorry, Daz. But the reality is, everyone's like, yeah, of course we do. And they're like, he's just like that. Yeah. You don't have to be, mate. You actually don't. If you're not happy with how you are and how you operate and how you feel about certain things, you have the power and the ability to change it. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
And you can, and it's even more than that. It's that you are choosing, in maybe not consciously, but every day you are choosing to be the person.
Yeah.
You're choosing to be that person. It's not just that it doesn't just happen to you. Like, things happen to you and that affects who we are. Obviously, that's really important to mention. And obviously, those things that happen to people can be awful, random, chaotic, all of those things, right? But it's how we respond to those things. And we can always choose to change it. If something really bad's happened to you, you can, that can change your brain in a certain way and make you a certain person but then you're also every day, depending on what you're doing, you're choosing to remain in that space.
Yeah.
You can always act to change your brain and then change the aspects of your life that you can control always, because that's what brains do. That's what you can do always. And I think it's really worth pointing that out. So it's like, but it's really hard, saying this in a position of kind of like, I've never had a really, really difficult experience of something like anxiety or depression. I just haven't. I'm a bit of a worrier. I worry about things quite often, but as I think we talked about in a previous episode, but I've never had a really difficult experience. So I'm fully aware that I do not have the kind of personal experience to draw on for that kind of thing. But the brain science is very clear that we can pull ourselves out of things like anxiety and depression and really serious kind of neurological processes if we choose to. And there are ways of doing it, and that's what we're all about talking about. But also the idea that if we are not acting, we are in some ways worsening it, because our brain is getting better at doing that action.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's kind of like there's no point where your brain will stop getting better at that thing. It will keep getting better and keep improving and keep practicing that thing. And it doesn't discriminate on the positivity of that action. You will get better at worrying if you worry a lot and don't manage it. You will get better at playing guitar if you practice guitar a lot. For the brain, there's no difference between those two things.
Yeah.
It's just growing neurons and developing them in the same way for both of those things, depending on what you do with it. So it's all about kind of trying to harness this ability of neuroplasticity to choose the changes you want to make in our brain and to actively pursue the processes that are going to allow us to make those changes.
Definitely. And I think it is really important when we do touch on serious topics that we do, we don't shy away from, such as depression and anxiety. It's important for the listeners out there to understand, and hopefully this is widely known now, that there is an element for some people of clinical depression, clinical anxiety, the sort of way that our brains are wired, that we can't actually avoid or escape those feelings of depression or anxiety. Okay, so we're not saying that you can. Cure is the wrong word, because
I think exactly.
I don't think you can ever. I speak on a bit more of, if Adam I say a bit more of authority than he does in terms of experiencing these things. I've struggled with mental health problems since I was quite young, so this is something that resonates a lot with me. And I think the idea of curing someone is wrong, and the wrong way to look at it. But what helped me massively was sort of understanding that there's only one person. Fundamentally, you seek all the support you can. And please, if you are struggling and this sort of issue does affect you listening, please speak to someone, speak to a professional therapist, counsellor, do those things. There's loads of, we'll maybe put some links in our podcast websites to consult, because I think that's our duty to do so. So if this stuff does affect you, please don't hold it in. And also, I just think it's so important to just remember that, like, yes, please seek the support, but also what helped me, and this is just my experience and my belief system to do with it because of a lived experience, that you are the only one who can help yourself to such an extent where you feel like you're improving and developing, getting better. And just to remember that you can slip back into these moments of sadness and deep melancholy, because that's what these conditions do to you. And it makes you feel like, we mentioned it last week, that you're sort of in a bath of sadness, and that can be how it feels. But to understand and appreciate that there is room and areas that you can implement that will help you. It will. Not to cure you, but to make life a little bit easier to live. Yeah. And that's an important thing to remember. Always be kind to yourselves. Just be kind to yourself. It's something that we don't do. That internal dialogue is sometimes damaging and hurtful, and you wouldn't speak to anyone else like that. So why on earth are you speaking to yourself like that?
100%.
So just be kinder to yourself, be more forgiving of how you are, and appreciate and acknowledge that you can grow. And if you start implementing your executive functions that we speak about quite often on this show, you can really go towards a place of improvement. And you don't have to accept that feeling of being down and low all the time. You just don't have to accept it. You can battle it and fight it.
Amazing. Well, that's What a monologue, people. If I can steal a phrase, amazing. Feel all emotional.
Yeah,
but I'm going to manage those emotions.
Yeah, you are. But it is. It's these topics are never easy to talk about. And as young men, I see it all the time with my clients at 15, 16. Come on, guys, like, you ain't sitting around in a circle talking to your mates about how you feel. It ain't happening. It's still not happening. And we want to believe that it is. And the reality is it's not. For a large, again, sweeping generalisation, for a large proportion of the young male population, you're not sitting talking about how you feel. And I'm not talking about sitting around all banging the drum wearing poncho. Like, you don't need to do it in that way. But
what if I want to?
If you want to, you do, you, my man. But you have to just start to understand, acknowledge, appreciate how you feel, and the level of acceptance is, I feel down. Oh, have you felt? Oh, he's just been down for the last couple of days. No, he's been struggling for the last 6 months, but he puts on a brave face. He's smiling. He's doing this. He's doing that. You can mask a lot with a smile and a bit of laughter, but the reality is people struggle. You never know what people are going through. That's why it's so important to be kind to the people around you, because you just don't know what's going on in their lives. You don't know. How have you got any clue unless they're telling you? You just don't know. So be kind to one another and begin that pursuit of happiness, really. And I think that's one thing I search for in life more than anything else. Happiness. I think that's the sort of mode I want to live by. And that's, I accepted probably when I was 21, 22, just coming out of uni, just finished my master's. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I had things happen to me that I won't go into too much detail, but I had a really difficult year in the last sort of 12, 18 months, and we've had challenges and battles, but you go through them and it changes you. And Adam's right when he said that at the beginning of the podcast. This stuff can change you. It can affect you negatively for a certain period of time, but then there has to be a moment where you're like, I'm done with that feeling. Life is hard, challenging, battles are occurring daily, but I'm going to take back control to some extent over how I feel. And if you try and implement some of the stuff that we're suggesting, maybe it'll help you out too. That's what we want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously a crucial part of neuroplasticity is the idea of brain changes. And I think that it's really important to say the idea that your brain is set is basically the problem here. Our brain is not set, and what we do with it changes it. But also I think there's a crucial point to point out here that you can also unlearn things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for example, when I was in school, I was good at times tables because I practiced them all the time in primary school, in secondary school. Like if you put a GCSE maths pen in front of me now, I would not do as well as I did. I did all right. I didn't do amazing, but I did all right. If you put that in front of me now, I would not do as well as I did. And I guarantee you, if you students listening, put that math paper in front of your parents, if they're trying to help you with their homework, they're probably struggling with that math too. Not because they're stupid, just because they haven't practiced those skills in a long time. So their brain has, undeveloped those neurons. Neuroplasticity is that your brain changes away from things as well. So going back to kind of what Andy was talking about beforehand, whilst these things do stay with us often, and I think using the language of curing is wrong, because there's no such thing as, memory is such a deep, and we'll talk about memory more in another episode, that kind of experience, trauma, memory, that stuff does stay with us, and there's no way that we're going to be able to cut it off. But we can change our neural architecture to be more positive and away from that kind of thing. Whilst it doesn't leave us, we can change that kind of thing. And in a very learning context as well, and we'll come on to that in a second. So about learning specifically, the reason that your learning works is because you practice something over and over and over again. Basically, it's just that repetition. When we do the primary programs, we have a slide which shows two neurons, one with no myelin on it and one with more myelin on it. As you can now see above my head on the YouTube, there's a diagram. Whoa. The one on the left is the one before the process of learning has happened. The one on the right is after the process of learning has happened. And basically, what happens is it's a process called myelination, where the neurons become more densely connected. You kind of grow more neurons in those areas, but also the neurons in that area, they myelinate, which are kind of, they're little hot dog buns you can see above my head. They are myelin, they're insulation. See, Andy's having a look. This is amazing acting because there's nothing there.
And a talent agent wants to get in touch.
Put him in the new Harry Potter TV show. So those myelin, that little bits of insulation, they insulate the action potential, which is the electricity impulse that shoots down the neurons, and it basically speeds it up. So they shoot through and they speed up that electricity. So basically, this is learning, right? Your brain turns the neurons on the left into the neurons on the right, which allows you to get faster and better at learning that thing.
Yeah.
That is the basic process, and it can change them back from that. There are more effective ways of learning than other effective ways of learning, but the basic principle is that you need to repeat it.
Yeah.
You need to repeat it. You need to practice that repetition. And, part of lots of our coaching resources and lots of our coaching sessions with people who are, this is the kind of thing they want to focus on as part of their sessions is talking about the most effective ways of revising and most effective ways of learning things. But I just think that it's important to say doing anything for the first time will very likely be very difficult to do because your brain has no idea how to do it. It doesn't have a model for it, so it has to build a model for it and literally build circuitry to allow you to do it. The reason why things that you already are good at become easier to do is, first of all, because you've probably got strong neural architecture all the way over there anyway. You have a thing called schema, which are these kind of big patterns of neurons in your brain, and it's easier to add on to already existing architecture than it is to build entirely new ones. And that's what you're doing when you're learning something completely new. You're building entirely new neural architecture, which is amazing. Isn't that incredible? Every single day, you are literally building. It's like, you kind of land redevelopment. You're building architecture in your brain that allows you to do things. And there are 86 billion neurons in your brain, and they connect across to each other across 300 trillion ways. So the amount of processing power there is just it's beyond. I always say to the kids in primary programs, if you put your PS5, your PlayStation 4, your Xbox, whatever the new one is called, 360, that one. What is it called now? It's like the Xbox.
It's after
Xbox S? Something. Anyway, the new Xbox and your iPhone, your iPad Pro, all of that together, nowhere near as powerful as your brain is.
Not even close.
And you've got this incredible bit of kit on top of your head that you can literally recreate every day.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So no matter what point in your life, you can decide, I'm going to learn this thing, and you can get really amazing at it. Definitely. And how many times do you hear those stories of, for example, older people who decide to pick up running and they become a marathon runner at 70. Yeah. And that's because of neuroplasticity. That's the idea that they can just change their brain, and they change their brain like that really quickly. And it's like when you're growing and when you are under 25, that process is happening. That's what school is. You are kind of in an environment of neuroplasticity. You're learning stuff every single day.
Yeah.
And as more stuff gets built into your brain, the more kind of work it is to change that stuff, but it's still changeable throughout your life. And I think it's just a really if anything, I find it really exciting because it makes me feel a sense of hope that no matter what, I can always do something. As 100%. Long as I'm in control of my life, and it's all about having control over your life, I can change things about my brain that I don't like. And so therefore, no matter what happens, I can always do something about it. I can always change my brain. I can always act to change my brain. And it also means that it's something I really want to be good at some point in my life. I can get there because 100%. All I have to do is practice it. And it's knowing that also it's going to be really hard to do the practice. It's going to be difficult to learn something. If it's not difficult, you're not learning because that's the whole point. But I can do that whenever I want to. I find that amazing.
It is, and it's so often an excuse you hear, isn't it? You hear the people go, and I would have been included. Even now, I'm going to be 24 in a couple of months, and it's even now I'm thinking to myself, I want to do a new language. I want to learn a new language. I want to learn a musical instrument. All those things you hear quite often. And then I go to myself, no, you can't be doing that, mate. You're way too old for that. Am I?
No.
Is that a joke? That's literally what goes through my head. And I'm like, you've got no excuse, man. I know this stuff, and it's come on. You can, of course you can. Yeah. And for those of you that are a little bit older and in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, hopefully if you've got some people in the 90s listening, that'd be unbelievable. Right in. Please get in touch. Yeah. We'll do a segment of oldest listener. We like that. But that's just, you can just, no matter the age you are at, the stage of life you're at, if you want to try something new and become good at it, you literally can. Obviously, some people have different predispositions to ability, which is a different thing of how you're ceiling in some of these areas. But the reality is, if you want to try something out, and the excuse you're using in your own head is you're too old, your brain can't handle it, yeah, you can. Of course you can.
Yeah.
And I think, like Adam said, that's a very exciting, it gives me a sense of comfortability that if I want to try, maybe I will try and sit down and do it and practice it over 4 or 5 years. I'll not even be 30 in that time. Do you know what I mean? So there's just, you've got so much time in your life.
It's just a feeling of capability.
Yeah,
you know, I am capable of these things that I haven't yet done, that I know that I'll be able to do. And it's this kind of leads us to the goals thing, you know, like it's really important to have goals, not short. We talk all the time in the coaching stuff and on our resources online is kind of near, middle distance and kind of far goals, right? Like a goal for like, you know, this week. That's all
I've been doing this week, I swear.
Yeah. A goal for like kind of maybe 6 months time, and then a goal for a couple of years down the line. You know, like the far goal would be like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? For students at like A-level, it's like kind of what degree do you want to get in 5 years? That kind of thing. But far goals, obviously, they apply to everyone. And it's just understanding that it's bringing in this idea that our brain changes, but to get to a goal, we need to start acting in the behaviors. And then we're going to bring in this concept now of the temporal self. Ooh.
I would like you to add some more work for yourself and just give yourself a nice little colourful aura around you.
Oh my God, I don't want to do that.
Come on.
If you're watching this right now, did I manage it? Nobody knows.
It's so beautiful, man. When Adam does these points to the thing and he's going to make this appear, and I just think, you should make more work for yourself. I have this. What are you doing?
And we record these on Fridays. They go out on Mondays, so it's just weekend. It's just weekend work.
He's had a howler.
It's all right. I'll put the football on. I'll watch us beat Man United this weekend. It's the same. Old Trafford. So, I mean, it's going to happen. Anyway. Brain science. We're in the brain science bit, not the football bit. But yeah, the temporal self is the idea that you have a past self that you learn from. You have a present self, which is you right now. Hello, present self. And then you have a future self, right? And in order for your future self to be able to do the things that you want your future self to do, the future goals, the far goals, even the mid goals, you need to make behaviors and do things today. For example, a really simple one is a marathon. For example, if you need to run a marathon in 6 months' time, you've got to work now. You can't just expect your future self to figure that out. You know, you could show up on the day. That's a long way to go with no training. You know, that is what training is. You are building the behaviors in every day that are going to allow you to achieve that goal. And that applies to every single part of our life and every single goal we want to set ourselves. So it's understanding that the changes we make every day, small ones, practicing one thing. You know, for example, one of my far goals is I would like to be fluent in French in a few years. That is a far goal. Do I practice French as much as I should at the moment? No. That is something I need to improve. I need to practice more French because the thing is, my brain will change. I will be able to learn French fully and I will be able to become fluent in it if I keep practicing it. So in order for my future self to be able to speak French, I need to put the work in now. Because it's not just going to happen to me. No. I'm not going to get hit by a rock and then suddenly I'm le fluent. Yeah. See, I don't know enough French because I don't know enough word fluent.
But
French.
I think that there's two main things that you need in order, and this is I'm oversimplifying this massively, but just for the accessibility of it, the two main things you need to be able to practice, develop those positive habits is how you apply yourself and that application and self-belief. If you have both of those, it's not rocket science. Well, you believe in your ability to learn those things and you apply yourself in the correct way, sorted. Sure. That is, you are on the path to learning a new skill. Yeah, and what Adam might say is his partner is very linguistically inclined. So
that is the best way of putting it.
The fact that he can only speak one language is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. No, it's I can't read the road signs in French, and my wonderful partner can read everything in French, and that's quite amazing.
That sort of skill. I just think if you've got, but you always hear this as well. If you've got that sort of brain, what are you? What?
No.
But it's incredible, man. The people that can speak multiple are just it's amazing. It's amazing.
And exactly, and it's not like I'm not trying to take away from anyone's amazing ability to do things, but the reason that the footballers we watch are so good at football, and the reason that the athletes we watch are so good at that sport, is because they practice it. The reason that the musicians are so good at music is because they practice the stuff.
You live and breathe that stuff. You're going to become
exactly, and that's the point. You practice that thing, and the thing is, you are really good at things. I don't know what they are.
Of course you are.
You're really good at listening to this podcast. Your neuroarchitecture for this show is phenomenal. Let me just say, really, really good. But you're really good at things, and the reason you're really good at those things is because you practice them. You probably really like them as well. And I think another maybe kind of point to end on is that talking about how you apply yourself, and that I think self-belief. Self-belief is also something you can improve because it's a neurochemistry thing, right? We work with a lot of people who don't believe a lot, trickily, they don't necessarily believe that they are capable of certain things, which is just not true, okay? Self-belief is something you can also improve though. You can improve it by believing in yourself more. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. Practice the skill of self-belief, but also show yourself that you can do things.
100%.
With a goal like a marathon, a fantastic way of self-belief. And I know that I went on a massive streak of not talking about my marathon running for a long time, and now I'm talking about it loads. But this is, you're getting a window into my personality, and Andy's having to deal with it. The reason I started running marathons is because I was like, oh man, I feel so lethargic. I don't feel very fit. I'm going to set myself this goal, pay for a ticket to a marathon, which is, if you've ever run a marathon or know someone else, it's not cheap. It's like 70 quid. And that was like 5 years ago. They're not cheap. And it's like, okay, well, I've got this thing now. I need to get on with it. Otherwise, I'm not going to do the thing I've paid for now. So to make it worth it for myself. So I had to make those behaviors, but breaking up that challenge into a bunch of smaller challenges, my first 5K, I remember that day so clearly. And a 5K is such a small part of a marathon. And a 5K for me now is nothing, but it was such a big day for me. I felt fantastic after that 5K. And that is how you strengthen self-belief. You strengthen that self-belief by doing things. You do difficult things and you feel better in yourself. And, if you've got a really difficult goal, a hard goal to achieve, like a marathon, for example. Again, this doesn't all have to be sport related. It can be anything, but just that's, a personal one I can bring up. Breaking it up into smaller tasks and feeling the achievement in the process of doing it is how you build that self-belief to know that you can do bigger things than that.
It is. Just to end on it, you're so right. That positive inner dialogue. I know the last 2 weeks I've said that a lot, but it's so true. That goes a long way in developing and installing that self-belief within. Talk to yourself in a positive way. Say to yourself, when you're 10k down a 20k run, oh, my legs hurt, I'm tired. No, you can still do this, man. Keep going. And it's that resilience and determination in every walk of life, not just sporting goals, in academic goals, in professional goals, in social relationship goals. Yeah, you can achieve whatever.
Exactly. I think that's a perfect kind of point to end on, is the idea that your brain will change. You can get better at things and you can do anything. You can literally do anything if you practice it and you do the things that because your brain, that is ultimately this incredible thing we have. It's otherwise allows us to do what we want to do with it. If we do if we can, manage it in the way we want and build in the certain behaviors that allow us to get the most out of every day. So if you want to do something, you can do it. Depending on what it is, you have to do certain things to get you there. But you can do those things because your brain will change to allow you to do that.
For sure.
And that's amazing. That is incredible. It is. That can be something as simple as maybe, that can be simple as something as relatively simple as like letting us do a marathon and letting us do that and make amazing sporting achievement. And obviously marathons aren't easy. I'm not trying to belittle them. But also it can be something as hard as bringing us out of a really difficult spot. But no matter what, you can do it. If you treat your brain in the right way, build the right behaviors, build the right habits, you can do all of those things. And it's just a really positive thing I want to try and leave you with, is that you are capable of all of it. That phrase that your parents say to you when you go to uni and you're kind of going away card, the world is your oyster. It really is. You can do all of the things you want to do because of because of your amazing brain. So we are all about trying to teach you how it works, neuroplasticity, and how to get the most out of that brain every single day.
Too right. Couldn't put it better myself.
Phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of AYP Spike. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Watch the show. Hello, I'm now waving to the watchers. How are you doing? And yes, also find out more information on the website in the show notes. And please email us if you are an older listener, but also if you're anyone. Email us at adamwright@aypuk.com because we want to hear from you and make it more of an interactive show with the audience. But yeah, thanks so much, Andy, for being here.
Been a pleasure as always, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. I promise I'll wear a different hat, or I'll try and make a bit more of an effort with the outfit. See you later.
See you later.